This meeting is being recorded. Hello, I want to welcome you guys to our monthly site webinar. We are super excited to have you with us. We've got a great speaker, and it's going to be just vibrant and engaging, and I don't want to steal all his thunder, so it's just going to be great. Before we get started with Robert, though, we do have some announcements and housekeeping, and you know, we do the same thing every month. You guys got to listen to me for a few minutes. So let me share my screen real quick and we'll do our housekeeping stuff. Thank you for coming today. When you guys come back next month in September, you'll get to hear me talk for an hour. Woohoo! I do want to point out the date in September is different. Normally, you know, we're on the second Friday. We will be on the third Friday in September. So just be aware of that. Mark it down on your calendar. And then if you are not a member of SITE, I really want to strongly encourage you to join. It is such a great association. We do so many things. We have networking and fellowship and mentorship. You make great connections. There's a newsletter. We have so many networking opportunities. There's an annual conference. We have the ITP designation that's been recognized by AM Best. Lots of wonderful things, including our Train the Trainer program. And if you have not done Train the Trainer, your chance is coming up. We have a new session starting for the fall. So if you haven't participated before, now is your chance. Go out to our website, sign up, get more information, and you are going to absolutely love it. I think the facilitators they have this time are amazing and awesome. And Jen leads them with a iron fist, and you're going to learn so much information. Just kidding, it's not really an iron fist, but you know, it's great. Check it out. And you know, we all love some good swag. So go to our spread shop and get you some good site swag, and then follow us, like and subscribe on YouTube. That way, if you do happen to miss a meeting, you can always come back and see it then. Today, we have Robert Smith, and force in the world of professional training and facilitation, bringing over a decade of experience to every room he enters. With a career shaped by impactful work with organizations like Horace Mann Insurance, Dale Carnegie, and numerous high school programs, Robert doesn't just teach, he transforms. His sessions are more than learning experiences. They are catalysts for growth, connection, and lasting change. Known for creating high energy, empowering environments, Robert equips his learners with the tools they need to succeed while inspiring them to reach for more. His passion lies in helping people unlock their potential, and his track record of exceptional outcomes speaks for itself. Wherever he goes, Robert brings a commitment to excellence, a heart for connection, and a talent for turning knowledge into transformation. And we are just absolutely thrilled he is with us today. So, with that being said, Robert, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Benjamin Franklin is renowned for his quote, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn and grow." So executives across the country were surveyed about the impact presentations and trainings have had on them. The result, 97%, that's 97% were bored, uninspired, and forgettable, which leaves 3% being impactful. And that's in person. So think in a remote world now, 1% maybe. So what we should be asking ourselves this morning is, why is that number so low? And why is that bar what it is? So what makes presentations impactful? That's our goal, right? Is to be impactful, memorable. So in a moment, we're going to do our first breakout session, and we're going to wrestle with this question. What makes presentations or trainings impactful and memorable? Or you could think of it like this: a person that you've seen. What was a character quality they had that made them impactful? Okay, so for an example, I might say something like, they use humor. Humor gets me in and makes me feel engaged, and I laugh and connect. Does that make sense? So we're going to do our breakout, 4 minutes, talk through that question. What makes presentations and trainings impactful? Who has a question? Okay, the count is down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. I guess you can go in any room you want.
I didn't put you all in the rooms. Did you guys want to be in a room?
Oh no, that's okay. I was like, I
Okay.
don't know what I'm doing. No,
I was like, I didn't know if you guys wanted to be in a room. So that's why I was
No,
like,
no, I like it. I'm glad you're doing that because I'm not sure about breakout rooms. I have not been brave enough to experience those. All right.
I think Ruth went in a room. I don't think I put her in. Or sorry, not Ruth. Jen, sorry. Like I didn't put her in
That's
there.
okay. Jen's good. Jen will. I think she popped into a room.
Yeah.
She's got to know what's going on. That's good. All right.
Oh, weird. It muted me when I came back. You put it for 4 minutes?
Mhm.
Thank you. There's Mo!
Hi.
I am so happy to see you.
Likewise. Sorry
All right.
about being a little late.
It's fine. We're doing a breakout. That's 1.5 more minutes.
Gotcha. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Program.
The question is, what makes presentations or trainings impactful?
Okay. And that's what they're discussing in the breakout.
Hmm? Or a person, what's a quality that they have that makes them impactful or memorable while doing a training or a presentation?
That's a good question. I'm excited to see what they come back with.
I want to hear what you have to say. You do this.
Oh, I'm writing it down too. Don't you worry.
I think it's great to always get different opinions. Like you think in your mind, this is what makes somebody impactful, but somebody else may have a completely different idea and viewpoint.
You should say that, Ruth, because that's really important. That's part of adult learning theory is I'm only impactful if it impacts you.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how great I think I am, if you don't like X, it's not going to impact you. So the more we know our audience, the more we can tailor our approach to what they need. So for high school students, I get a big chicken and put it on my lap, a live chicken, and that gets them engaged like crazy. If I did that for a bunch of executives, they'd think I'd lost my mind.
I'm just concerned about where you're getting this chicken from and how do you make it be calm? Because I live in the country. I have chase chickens. I have chickens in my front yard right now. They don't belong to me, but they're in my front yard.
I have, man, 20 something chickens. We have, I pretend I'm a farmer. I have chickens, ducks, turtles, other stuff. So I forced one of my kids to go bring it to me and I just hold it.
Yeah, I am. My best friend has the chickens and she sells the eggs and she sells the chickens and whatnot. And we had to go catch some because she sold some. And I'm like, I'm just here to videotape this. I am not touching nothing. I am not chasing nothing. I'm just here to film me do this.
It can be a lot of fun. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully we had some great dialogues. So let's debrief and let's see what we found about what makes presentations engaging and memorable or training sessions. And if you can see my screen, we're going to break it down. And as a group, we're going to see where it fits. So as we think about presentations, trainings, we can kind of put them in three categories: the material or content, the structure itself or how we organize it, and the technique and delivery. So let's go ahead and share what we discussed. And you tell me where to put it. So what do you say?
I don't think my group discussed the material or content at all, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Robert. I feel like if you're a good facilitator and you're doing all of the other things that we're going to talk about shortly, you could literally, your material could be how paint dries and you could make it interesting.
I've actually forced some of my trainees to talk about that. Yes. So for this exercise, whatever you talked about, we're going to see where it fits in one of these. So Jade, if you want, what was something that your group talked about that said makes for memorable communication or presentation?
So one of our items was making sure that the facilitator is a good storyteller, and I would say that fits in technique and delivery.
Okay, storytelling. Thank you. That's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to try to make this bigger. Good. Okay, storytelling. What else? Just spout them out. Spout them out. What do we think?
Enthusiasm and passion and what you're speaking about.
Passion, enthusiasm, spelling. Okay, good. What else? Thank you. I assume that's down here. What else we got?
Like variation.
Breakout rooms.
Tone. Oh, sorry.
Breakout rooms. What was that, Mo?
Tone, like the way that your voice goes up and down.
Okay, tone. Do you want that? I assume these are technique delivery. I don't want to speak for anyone, but okay. Nice. What else?
Interactive learning.
Interactive learning. Okay. Like that at technique. Okay. What else? Thank you. Maybe a couple more.
Not reading from a script.
Okay. So what's the positive of that? So we don't want to do that. What do we want to do then?
Make it more genuine. You've taught me that.
Okay. That's not like conversation we had. Okay. Genuine. Great. Okay. So, and we probably have more and more and more we could say, but let's look at this for a moment. And the question again is engagement, impactful. What do we see here just by looking at this?
Technique and delivery.
Or what?
The most important.
The most important.
More impactful.
Okay. Are impactful. Are important. And we're not necessarily saying that the content doesn't matter, right? We got to say right things sometimes. And how we structure it, there's some technique to that, right? We don't want to be garbly goop. But what we might be suggesting here is maybe that sense of how we do it and the delivery is more important than we thought.
It's about creating the experience, right? Once you start making things memorable, it's all about that, how you made them feel, going back to, what it was that they experienced during that learning session is, in my opinion, and I can't speak for everybody else, but that's what makes At least when I facilitate, that's my goal at the end of the day is, really, really creating that experience so that it reinforces what's being taught.
Wow. Yes. All right. We're done for today. Thank you. Right? That's great. We're going to look at that sense of experience and connection. So our two goals for today, simple: interact and engage. And they're in the chat board so you can see. Interact and engage. How do we grow those two components to create what we're longing for? And that's people being transformed, people changing. So training and passing on knowledge, right? It doesn't happen in a vacuum. And thankfully for us, it still involves humans, right? But it's more than just the transfer of information. So I think the iPhone now, right? You could put your iPhone against someone else's iPhone, right? And you can like transfer your contact information. Anyone done that? So freaky. But like that's not training necessarily, right? Because of relationships. People who are relational, who desire relationships. And I would argue in post-COVID, a lot of virtual, we need relationships. Yes, we're crying out for that. If you love that sense of relationship, let me know. Would you agree with that? Raise your hand if that's you, saying, yeah, I love that part. Right? Relationships are the conduit by which we pass on that knowledge. Please. Or Jade, virtual hand. Yep, good. But how often do we forget that, right? That we just go to information transformation and we forget that there's people there. So a question to ask yourself is, how much time do I spend building that relationship with others? What value do I place on connecting with the people that are entrusted to me? So let's think about that. Let's build the why. What's the value in building a relationship or connection with your learners? What do you think?
Trust.
Say more. Trust. Say more.
Well, there's a lot of different, roadblocks to learning and taking in information. And I think trust is the easiest way to be able to reach people, get them to trust the information you're giving them.
Powerful. And studies show that adults have a negative perception on learning, mostly because they hated high school. So we're already behind the 8 ball. Trust being important. Thank you, Mo. What else?
I just kind of want to elaborate further on the trust, because they not only have to trust you as a person, but they have to trust your credibility and your knowledge. And honestly, you only have a first few minutes of a facilitation session to build your credibility as someone who knows what they're talking about, who is a good person, who cares about their success in learning whatever it is that you're facilitating.
Right. Excellent class. And that first impression can make or break those sessions. Right. I only have an hour with you, right? I don't have a week or a month to build that. So I got to do it within 2 minutes, please. What else?
I think being authentic.
Okay.
I think with a lot of well, right now, a lot of, and I'm just gonna put fake news in air quotes, right? It goes back to that trust. So people don't really know what to believe and and how to consume it, right? Or digest it. So I think a lot of times just being authentic will help with the connection with people, to let people really know, oh, not only is she credible, we can trust her, but she is knowledgeable and knows what she or he is speaking about.
Right.
And to tag on to that, if I may,
Okay.
I think also just having them feel like you really are there to help them, or guide them through the process. I think the learners need to feel that in order to trust and engage.
And I think, someone else, go ahead.
Alyssa, do you want to butt in?
Yeah, I was going to say, on the facilitator end of it too, having that relationship established can make it like that passion, that want come easier. It can make it you more inspired to push through sometimes more difficult scenarios, some things that, maybe that you're having to work through to get to that point where they've learned, they've absorbed. I think having that relationship and that care for them helps you pull that energy too.
Right, right. Inspiring. It's a great word. We have to trust that we have their best interest. Yeah, they have to see I'm going to lead them to a right, good, vibrant place. Right. And another challenge, someone said, we talked about this idea of being transparent, of being real, of being authentic. That might even say, hey, who I present is not going to always be this shiny, perfect, I'm always fine, everything's fine kind of person, right? Like, man, some of the things I love doing when I come in, trainees will be like, oh, how are you? Man, yesterday was horrible. And they're like, wait, what? You can say that? You can be honest? I don't have to be fine all the time? And that puts people's guards down. They don't have to be at their best every second because no one is. So look at the power that has. So we see that it adds value, tremendous value. Let's now build the how. What are some strategic methods for building a relationship with our learner? What are you doing? What things are you seeing that helps build that relationship? And we already kind of touched on this idea of being authentic. What else are we seeing?
You also, unfortunately, especially in today's world of a lot of virtual facilitation, have to be entertaining. You can't, even though it's important to be authentic and transparent, you can't 100% just be yourself, because if you don't entertain people, the average layperson who's, trying to learn insurance, let's be honest, it's not always the most intriguing stuff unless you eat, sleep, and breathe it.
What?
You entertain them. You have to be, like, you are so animated. You are entertaining, and that immediately grabs people's attention. So you have the opportunity to build that relationship.
Ooh, that's a good connection. We're going to talk about that engagement piece, but yes, if we've already lost them because we're boring, we might not even have the opportunity for a relationship. That's a nice call out. Yeah, I could see that. Great insight. What else? What else? How do we do this? How are you doing this?
Show humility. I think when we engage them and of course involve them, we're not showing that we are the know-it-all in the front, right? We are showing that we are learning together. So a lot of times exercising or practicing humility in front of those people is a great way of building that relationship with the audience or the participant.
Great. And it's Tiara, right? Great call out, Tiara. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Great. And that's a character quality, right? That's not necessarily a facilitation strategy or style. That's just who we are.
Right.
Nice. What else? What are some other things you're seeing that works?
I think there's something that you just did when you confirmed like her pronunciation. You showed a level of care for her as someone in your audience as opposed to just your content that you're trying to teach.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to practice what I preach a little bit. Right. And so little things we can do that make them feel like, wow, this person genuinely cares about me. Sometimes I go overboard, like I'll spend too much time on the relationship piece so they can feel cared for. But yeah. Anything else? I put a few extras. Oh, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, taking those kind of 5 minutes here and there to get to know people, especially at the beginning. Like what could be, space where maybe we can't get this done, or we could do that. Prioritize a little bit of that relationship and then pulling from that knowledge as you're teaching or training or facilitating.
Nice. Right. And that's an excellent point. And if we step back and say, okay, I'm paid to teach you this content, but if I focus on building you the person will do the job better. Fair?
That's fair.
Right. So it's not a waste of time for us to connect with people, to listen to them. to build them up in their personal. I care about people's personal life, because if your personal life is a mess, guess what? Your professional life is going to kind of be a mess. There's only so much you can hold that back, right? But if you're feeling cared for and engaged and happy and joyful, and you feel like I'm the king of the world in this class, then that's going to allow them to blossom more. It's like I love gardening. It's like working that soil and putting good, healthy soil and millweed and other things in it. It helps it blossom more, right? And we can do that with those vibrant connections. So one thing to think about, and Chablis mentioned this earlier, is yes, content matters, of course, but we try so hard to say the right exact thing, right? Oh, I gotta say it like this. I gotta read my notes, and sometimes we lose that connection because we're focused on perfection.
Hey, Robert, I was just going to say quickly, like organization and the way that you structure your content. I think we're kind of living in a world where people are used to being able to choose what they want, right? You have Amazon, you have, you get your choices of things that you want. And a technique that I saw in action a couple of times this year that was amazing was, hey, we have this content we know we got to get through, right? There's all this stuff that we got to do. But what if we actually incorporated tools that allowed the audience to choose and vote on how they wanted the content presented to them?
That's brilliant.
And there's a lot of different tools that you can utilize for that. There are, the techie tools in the training world. But I'm like, you have to get through a certain amount of content. Someone has probably prescribed that to you in your organization, right? But what if your thought pattern is, as you kind of place the content out there in front of the audience and you go, yeah, some of this has to be sequential, so we have to do it in a certain way. But what if they got choices at the end of the day? They would feel I know I would personally feel a lot more engaged in presentations and content if someone would just give me the choice or make me at least feel like I have the choice.
Right.
Going to be presented.
That's a really unique way of doing it. I like that. That's really clever, Heather. Yeah. And what we're looking at is empowering others to be a part of their own learning experience, right? And that's what we're going to look at when we look at engagement is how do we move from they're just an audience member, like we're at a movie, to how are they engaged in their own learning, right? Because it's like, I don't need to learn this. I already know it. You need to know it. So the more you're engaged, the more you're empowered. Studies show the more likely adults will grab that. Great. That's great.
Heather,
and again, please.
Heather, that's interesting that was done in a facilitation because usually you'll see that with like e-learnings. It won't necessarily go in a sequential order, but the learner themselves can go in and select what courses they want to take in whatever order. So to know that that's being done in facilitation, virtual setting or even live setting, that's actually pretty interesting and very innovative, actually.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm hoping to do is that we tear down some of our preconceived ideas of what training looks like, and we say, what are all the possibilities, right? How do we move it from, oh, this is how you do it, and it looks like this, and it's shiny, and it's this, to no, what's the goal? Is to be transformative in people. That's the goal. So however we get there, as long as it's ethical, of course, that's what we should focus on. So we've seen that building those quality relationships and how we do that plays a monumental role. I mean, huge role. So what's the old saying? People don't care how much you know. Someone say
until they know how much you care.
Right. And that is true, is it not?
Absolutely.
Preach it. So we're going to have some solo work now. We're going to write down one thing that we're going to do differently to create meaningful, trusting connections or relationships with our learners. One thing we're going to do differently. We're going to take 1 minute, just on your own, 1 minute, write it down and put it somewhere where you can see. And then when you've done that, plop it in the chat board. So 1 minute, go.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the instruction, please?
Yep. I'm going to put it in the chat board too. So we're going to write down on a sticky note or somewhere, wherever you want, one thing you want to do differently to create those relationships with others. So for example, I might say, you know, I want to take the first 5 minutes of my training session and just talk to people, ask them how they're doing. And after you've written that down and put it somewhere where you can see it, plop in the chat board so we can all be encouraged. Mm. 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 These are great. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Person, yep. Mm-hmm. Active listening. Mm-hmm. Nice. Hey, it's okay to be personal, right? Stop teaching, start facilitating. Mm-hmm. These are great. Mm-hmm. Choose their own, right? It's like a choose their own adventure. Man, I remember those. Those are great. Fantastic. So we have a lot of ideas for ourselves and we've learned from each other. So we're just talking about moving the needle a little bit to build those connections. So now that we've looked at interaction, let's tackle engagement. Think back to the beginning. We've discussed what makes presentations or trainings high impact and engaging, right? So electrifying engagement, it's about turning that passive audience member, like they're watching a movie, right, into an active participant in their own learning journey. So I'm going to say that again. It's about turning a passive audience member into an active participant in their learning journey, right? They take ownership for it. So think for a moment, what's one experience you had where you were actually an active participant, okay, in whatever you were at? How did it impact you? And when you thought about that, put that in the chat board. So for example, I might say, well, the facilitator was really animated, and that helped me stay focused. Okay, so think back to a learning experience where you were actually active. How did that impact your learning experience? Energized. The opposite of bored, right? And half asleep. Ooh, okay, nice. So the why should I care factor, right? Feeling connected, stick. Okay, so it actually allowed you to do it moving forward. Nice. Eager for what's next. These are great, right? So the statistics, in addition to our own experiences, are overwhelming. The higher the engagement, the higher the buy-in. The higher the buy-in, the higher the retention, the production, and long-term transformation. Yes, right? That's what we're going for. Not just, did I say things? Okay, great, hooray. But did my learners actually change? So as we said, engagement is not just transferring data. And oftentimes we call it a SME, right? And it's not a bad thing. But we want to create that transformational experience that leaves the learner owning their own life, their own production, and their mind and will is changed, right? That's what we want. And it's easy to get stuck in that normative role where, hey, I know something and I know how to talk. Ta-da, trainer. Right? Well, that's probably most humans on the planet. But is that our goal? Is that most excellent? Is that creating the long-term transformation we want? Right? And oftentimes we can do things as the trainer that might hinder that learning process. So what are some things that we see that might hinder someone wanting to be engaged? What do you think? Come off mute and what do you see?
Maybe if the facilitator is like grumpy, if they're letting their personal life bleed into their work life.
If I look like this?
Yeah, I would talk to you if you're making, mean faces.
Right. Can make all kinds of mean faces, right? Intimidating, forced, with awkward questions, right?
Or very monotone, just has like no fluctuation in their tone.
The robots. What's that? Ben. Yes. What was that dry eye guys? The Ben Stein. Is it Ben Stein? With that very monotone voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the facilitator asks a question and then doesn't stop talking so you can answer it.
Right. Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a TED Talk lecture more than a training session, right? How about PowerPoint? How about overusing PowerPoint too much?
Or too many words on the...
Too many words. So boring. Right. I'm at war with PowerPoint. Yeah. And we're not saying that these are inherently evil. Don't take that. What we're saying is, are we cognizant of what we're doing to make sure it's not hindering the learner? That's all. Right? Thanks.
Well, Robert, you spoke about the PowerPoint. You can also go one step further and speak to the presentation, the visual aspect of a PowerPoint presentation, right? I attended a facilitated training, and it was hard to read the PowerPoint itself. The words were like, the header was grayed out, and it just, you could tell whoever put it together didn't give it much thought to add some color or some comedy and something in it to lighten up
anything,
right? So the visual aspect of the PowerPoint can be a complete turnoff as well.
Right. And at the end of the day, this is going to sound anti-humble, but it's not meant to. I want to be your focus. Right?
Yep.
Not some PowerPoint. I'll just email you the PowerPoint if that's all. And you can just fire me because I'm not needed.
Right.
I want to be that focus to focus on you so you can learn. And okay, maybe PowerPoint when we're in person, but now you're talking remote, and now all I see is this giant PowerPoint with teeny tiny little heads. Man, I've lost connection. Please.
I've been kind of playing with imagery. So I happen to be a visual. So like if people are giving me stats or stuff, I like to see it and read it. But not less is more type focus. And sometimes if you're talking about, sorry for fire claims, it's a fire, have an image of a fire up on the screen. Or something that kind of gives that visual reinforcement to the topic that you're talking about.
Perfect. Right, because we have adult learners who are visual. Great. The question just is, are there other ways that are more effective? So you've seen, I shared my screen and I typed on the screen. I put stuff in the chat board, right? There are apps where you can do stuff. There's the whiteboard itself, right? It's just what brings more engagement. That's the question. And really, this is a massive change in perspective and philosophy. Tara, did you want to say something?
I did actually, to piggyback off what you're saying. I think it's important that we are diverse, or in our engagement, because our audience is diverse, right? Everybody's way of learning is different. So we can't expect that if we teach it one way, that everybody is going to absorb it that way, because that might not be the way that they best learn. So, and to that end, you may even have somebody in there with a disability. They may not be able to hear or see. So it's important that we are cognitive of the way that we're teaching and the way that we're delivering, because it is for the audience. It is not for us. We're just
Yeah.
the tool to be able to relay the information. It's more
Yeah.
about the audience. I think when we put the audience first, then we meet the objective.
Right. And that again goes back to the goal. I am not satisfied just because I've told you information. That's not the goal. The goal is, have you been cared for and had a transformational experience that left you change? That's the goal. And so I should do everything in my power to find out how you learn best. And then, like a chameleon, change myself and my tactics to be able to present it that way. Yes? That's what we're looking at. It's a whole different change in perspective and in approach. It's using strategic facilitation and intentional techniques to captivate attention, to encourage people to be excited about whatever we're teaching. I one time, this person's on this call, so I won't name them, I got someone really excited about telling me how to properly throw up in a toilet. Wow, people were so excited, right? This was one of the greatest moments of my life as a facilitator, because of the way they did it. It was great. And we get to do that, right? And we get to use that engagement. So think for a moment, where am I at on that scale? You don't have to put a number in the chat board. How am I doing on that? Am I just blabbing on and giving data and talking? Am I more engaged? Where am I at? And what can I do to push that needle a little more? Right? How can I take a step to create a more engaging learning environment? Okay, so as we think about that, how much value that adds, what are some ways that we can do that? So we're going to pull up a whiteboard, and on the whiteboard, we're going to answer this question. What are things we can do to be more engaging? How can we add engaging things? So for example, I might write down, ask questions, right? Rather than just give the answer, I might ask questions and see what they think. Okay, so here it is. We'll give about 2 minutes. Write down as many as we can. Gamify. Oh, I like that. Way shorter than gamification. Ask questions first. Get feedback. Storyteller. Nice. Man, people love stories, don't they? Ooh, ask the question, then have them discuss it. Don't even give your thoughts. Be personal. Use names. Different activities. So I think studies are showing that adults have like horribly low attention spans. Can anyone relate? Is that like, hey, you're talking to me? Right. So I think they say the more you change up the activity and break monotony, more people will get engaged and focus. Incorporate the learner in the story. That's great. Let's do a few more. Share experiences. This is great. Use a silly voice. Who wants to show that? Ruth, thank you for volunteering. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know, no silly voices.
Wow, yeah. Well, let's give her a round of applause for that. That was great. Right. That's great. Mm-hmm. And use an alter. Oh, I thought it was alter ego. Use alter ego names. That's good too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are busy. Yep. Goes progress toward the nice. Right. So people love that we're there for a good time, but if that's all we're there for, it's like, well, are you wasting my time? Mm-hmm. Right. That's great. Those are all great things. We can even use self-paced stuff, right? We can give people time beforehand. Hey, before this meeting, spend 10 minutes on this, right? Some self-reflection. At times I paused and said, hey, think for yourself. So that's kind of, I guess, group work with yourself, right? Peer to peer, right? Peers love learning from other peers. Is that fair? So creating an environment where other people can do the teaching, maybe even asking someone, hey, here's a subject, why don't you tackle this? And really just changing up things as much as possible. So people don't even, like, I love making where people have no clue what's expected next. Like, this dude could do anything next. It's like that little bit of fear, a little bit of like, I can't check out, a little bit of like excitement, right? So now that we've identified some techniques, and I encourage all of us, try all of these. Just try it. See what happens, right? You're not going to break anything, right? And we might create an environment where people enjoy being there and are engaged. So we've looked at kind of some techniques, but now we've talked about, what about us? Our role. Are we making it easy or hard for our learners to stay engaged? To be focused, right? To really care about the topic and want to do well, right? So think about that statistic in the beginning, 97%, right? These are executives saying this. Not impactful, boring, I fell asleep. Do you want to be that? I don't want to be that. I don't want to be boring. I'd rather at least be exciting or just completely a train wreck. I don't want to be forgettable. Right? That's terrible. So what are some things that we can do to help our learners be engaged? It's our presentation skills. What can we do?
So this actually comes from a quality standpoint as opposed to training, but we would always tell reps to sit up and smile and like put your body in the position to be engaged, and you'll naturally be more engaging. And I think that really carries over into facilitation.
It's great. Forcing the audience to play a part, and yeah, them sitting up, them being focused. Like this, I hate. Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm engaged. Nope, I want to see your eyeballs. Nice. What else?
Well, obviously, in a virtual setting, most of the time we want people on camera. But what I usually like to do is read the room. Whenever I'm going through a topic and I start to notice, people are starting to slouch or drift off or pick up their phones, I then will do something disruptive. Whether it's make them stand up, stretch or something like that to just kind of get them to reset or maybe take a break. That way it regains their attention and then we can move on. Or depending on the topic, it may give me the cue to say, well, maybe they're not interested in this topic, or maybe they know this already. So, it just depends. But reading the room is a good technique to use.
Right. And if we're so busy giving our polished TED talk because I'm awesome and I've got stuff to say, right? Then we can't notice, oh man, Mo's looking a little depressed, Rachel's bored, Jennifer is sleeping, oh boy. Ah! Right? Now you're awake. Shake it up. Do something unexpected, yes? Right. Take a break. Do a game. Right? We're caring about the learner and how they best can succeed. It's not about us, right? What else? Sorry for screaming if any of you were freaked out by that. That's why I teach in the office, because my wife said you're way too loud and ridiculous. What else? How about this?
Robert, I think you already mentioned this, but inviting people to participate in the presentation. You know, if you have slides, hey, will you read off line 1 for me? Kind of digesting the information as a group and allowing them to be included.
Great. It's not all about me. In fact, it's not about me at all.
Knowing when to move on from a specific topic. In other words, don't overkill a topic. You know, you need to, I think, I forget the percentage, but every so many minutes you should be changing topics just to keep the engagement going.
Well said, because our attention spans are so small, right? How about stuff like this? What if I was like this? I know, look at that beautiful face. Would this be as engaging?
Would be annoying.
Could be annoying.
I was
saying you're good looking. No, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, thank you. That's the best thing anyone said this session. Thank you.
I was gonna say the fact that you're standing, I can tell that you're standing because you're moving around and you're not just like you said, like leaning in, like you can't see any movement going on.
Right. So gestures. Look at all this space I have here. I have so much space.
Yeah.
Maybe some taekwondo or something. Right. So the gestures get people engaged and want to listen and want to watch, right?
Something I found effective virtually is kind of using a bit of that when it's something really important, like this is a must, this is a do not pass go, is getting closer and looking directly into the camera when I say it. Like I'll say like, I need everyone to look at me, and I look right at the camera, and I've been told like that, like it's almost a little uncomfortable, but it makes them remember it.
Yes. Yes. Silence is powerful. Slowing down to emphasize key things allows us to chew on it. And it can feel awkward. Let's try it. Okay, there's about 5 seconds. Some of you are about to flip out. But that allows the learner, the power of the pause, to digest, to emphasize things that are valuable. If I'm here's my trouble. I'm always at 100%. I need to slow down to emphasize things. And some of you say, I need to get a pulse and I need to be a little more excited about things. Right? So I put a few more things in there. The way we talk, right? Are we excited about this? If we're not excited, why would they be excited? Right? So we can do things, techniques to help them be engaged, and then we can be the right person to help them be engaged. So as we wrap up our time, think of some key phrases or thoughts that we can use to summarize. If we were going to summarize what we've learned as a group, what are some key phrases or thoughts that you would use? Go ahead and share them.
I wrote it down, and I wrote it down the last time I heard you say it to me is, you lose connection when you chase perfection.
Boom. Thank you, Shabli. What else?
Just be yourself.
Be yourself. Yep. Genuine, authentic self. What else?
Teach to the person, not the material.
Mm-hmm. That sounds so good. I like that. It's a slogan. It's good. It's good, right? Because they're people.
Tying in emotion, depending on the topic, bringing in the emotion piece will help. I mean, that's how people remember as well is the appropriate emotion, funny, sad, whatever.
Yes. And keeping them congruent, right? The worst thing happened to me yesterday. You're not convinced because I'm smiling, right? So being congruent with everything we do, and really, man, I love tugging at people's hearts. I love telling really dramatic stories because it gets people. People love stories and they love emotion. So these are great ways to summarize our time. Interact. No, please.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please. Share.
So, I mean, we're really talking about, how we be transformative, right? So part of that is putting ourselves in their shoes. We don't want to sit in a boring presentation. We don't want to sit there and look at a boring PowerPoint. So almost in order for us to be transformative, we have to see the audience as ourselves.
Right. How would I want to be talked to be interacted with? Right. It's excellent. So as we wrap up, start, stop, and continue. You're going to do this on your own after our time here. Think about what's one thing I'm going to start doing. What's one thing I'm going to stop doing? And what's one thing I'm going to continue doing? And if I do those three, what will be the impact on my training and on my learners if I do this? Okay, so just think start, stop, continue. And what will be that result? So after we're done. And put that somewhere and just push that needle. Every day, be intentional. You are the key to leading learners to their transformational experience. So find your doorway. Insert yourself wholly into the lives of learners. Engage that lock of learner participation. Thrust open the door and step into an amazing future that awaits you. Thank you. If there's any questions, I think there's 3 minutes.
If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. I posted Robert's LinkedIn page in the chat earlier today. Go out and follow him. Give him, connect because he's brilliant. I totally enjoyed today's session. Thank you so much, Robert, and your crew that you brought with you. It was wonderful. We're so glad that you're here. I've got a couple of minutes, so I have some site swag. They're stickers. They come off. Everybody loves a good sticker. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to do the infamous Wheel of Names. So let's see. Let's see who comes up. Amanda, I need you to message me in the chat with a mailing address. And then we're going to remove Amanda and we're going to go one more time. Lori. So Lori messaged me in the chat with a mailing address. And Heather mentioned in chat again, just like we did at the beginning, about the Train the Trainer session. You guys, we have the Train the Trainer. It's just getting ready to start, so you have time to join us. Thank you again, Robert. It was great. And y'all, please come and visit us next month. And y'all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.